Hello, I'm SP, and welcome to my editing walkthrough YouTube channel. I'm also streaming on Twitch. So if you happen to catch this live, then we are on Twitch. I am on Twitch, and I am part of the GonnaGeek.com network, which also has a show on it called Better Podcasting. It's a podcast to help hobby podcaster, passion podcasters get their show up, started, and more importantly, better, so that you can have more reachability and more audience growth. So I had been asked a question on how I publish my shows to Libsyn. And I know Libsyn has some great tutorials. So if you really have a question about that, please go over to libsyn.com. And there's a bunch of great tutorials that I believe Crystal has put together. And I would defer completely to them. But I just wanted to show how easy it was. This, by all means, is not going to be a complete tutorial whatsoever. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mimic what I did to publish my latest episode of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode 261. It was on the Punisher episode Resupply, which was the fourth episode of the first season, the only season when this came out, but there will be another season. So we're going to just go ahead and do it. And I've logged into Libsyn. I put myself on the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. page. As you can see on the top here, there is a bunch of pull down menus, basically. There's the dashboard, there's the content, and if you hover over any one of these, it will give you a sub menu if there happens to be one for them. I know that the question that came through was talking about show settings, so I'm just going to show that really quick. You would have to go into settings, edit show settings to get there and to mess around with the show settings. So by publishing an episode, you're not dealing with the show settings. Now, the show settings are like the title of the podcast, the actual title, not of the episode, but the entire podcast. It's what categories that you are in Apple Podcasts. There's basically 3 levels of categories that you can choose from. So don't worry about going in there. If you have somebody else that you've given access to your account and you said, don't go into the show settings, but it's okay to publish content, just tell them not to go in settings, and that will solve that issue. In order to publish the episode, you go over to content and you can either click content or add new episode. I'm going to go ahead and click content because that will take me to the next screen. And as you can see, here are all the previously published episodes. They list, I believe, 10 per page. You can increase that to 50. You can see all the episodes that are published. Right now, I think numbered episodes, I'm at 260. And I think there might have been some other episodes that I did along the way. But basically, numbered episodes were at 260. And if I wanted to add new content on this screen, instead of going to the content add new episode, I can click add new content. And I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to do it for an episode. So that brings up this, and this is a new recent interface. It's got multi-tabs on it. Don't worry about going from tab to tab and saving. You can go ahead and do that, go back and forth, and all the changes will be saved as you go along. You don't have to save as a draft as you go along. First thing that I do is I go to add media file. So I upload from the hard drive. And let's just get into, let's see. Let's just go into my podcast files, finish podcasts, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we'll select the recent one. We'll just mimic the exact same thing. I'm not actually going to publish this. And then it starts to upload. If you have a tremendously fast internet connection, this will go really fast. The file's about 40 megabytes. And as you can see, it's taking, roughly about a minute or so. As it's loading, I can go ahead and go over to the details. Now it's asking for a title of the episode. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just go into the previous episode and I will copy and paste stuff over. So I'm going to go ahead and middle button click this, which will show it up on a new tab. And I will go into Kandahar, because that is the previous. I'm just not going to copy and paste from the one that's there. I'm going to go into details, Kandahar. I'm going to click Control A to select everything and Control C, and then go back over to the episode that I'm trying to publish and go, okay, I need to change a couple things in here. Resupply, and then LOS 260, which is Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode number 260. Those are the two things I need to change in there. I'm going to go over into the previous one. I'm going to go over into the subtitle, which does not change. I will Control A, Control C. So select all, copy. Then I'll go to subtitle and Control V for paste. Now I will go over into my, well, I'll show you. This is my Word doc, but I'm going to keep it off to the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the parts of the Word doc that are the actual show notes. I'm going to do a Control C on that. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do a Control V. Now, at this point in time, I have to tell you that Word puts in an awful lot of other characters and other formatting that is generally bad. So it's great if you can create your post in something that is not formatting, like Notepad or something like that. But then I find I don't get any formatting whatsoever. And I'm a guy that wants to make this as easy as possible. So I just go ahead and Control V, and there it is. That is all my show notes. So you've seen a little bit behind the curtain there. I'm not particularly proud of that, but when it comes down to, I want all that information in there, and I don't want to retype it in every single time. So that's what I do. Now, category, I have several different categories. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Marvel Cinematic Universe, a non-Marvel Cinematic Universe film, but it's comic based, so there you go, and just special Marvel content and so on and so forth. For this particular one, I'm going to choose Punisher, which I had to create. By the way, if you have to create a new one, you just type it in. So you go Punisher, and it would, if it was not a new one, it would show up there. But I'm just going to select that. So a while back, it came out that Apple Podcasts / iTunes no longer, and they say that in this interface, no longer recognizes episode tags keywords. So Libsyn recommends weaving your tags and keywords into your episode title. The episode title, not the show title, which you would have to go over to settings to edit. So in this particular case, I'm talking about a Marvel Comic Universe podcast. So I have Marvel Comic Universe in there. I have Punisher. I have the episode of Resupply. So those are the keywords basically for this episode. Maybe I could do a little bit better job, but that's what I want to do. I used to title these like Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., Punisher, or Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. What did I say? Just Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. dash Punisher and quote Resupply, and then a Marvel Comic Universe podcast. I should probably update it to an unofficial Marvel Comic Universe fan podcast. Probably what I will do from now on. So the next episode that I publish will have that in there. And of course I have to spell unofficial correctly. So leave that blank because it really doesn't mean anything, at least not now. And then I don't do anything else, but I get down here to iTunes title. And what I do is I copy and paste this. Now, iTunes has a little bit different viewpoint on their titles. So I'll just go over to Kandahar so you can see. Bingo, that's it. Punisher, Kandahar, that's it. Because the show title is, my show is titled an unofficial Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan podcast. Since this is not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the episode is Marvel Comic Universe based. But down here in the iTunes title, get rid of that qualifier and then the episode number. Apple ultimately will want me to get rid of this LOS 260. The problem is the episode number is down here, 260. But if you go into the app, if you go into the Apple Podcast app on any iOS device, the episode number does not come up anywhere. So I still want the episode number available to be shown if I refer to it. So I want it in the title. That's the only place that I can put it. And as you can see, the episode number down below. In the iTunes summary, there's a 500 character field that is basically, I'm just going to paste what I have in. is basically, I have 492 characters. It's basically a description of the episode in 500 characters or less. You can make this whatever you want, but this is also, I don't know if this is searchable or not, but if I'm looking at an episode and I want to know what an episode is, I will look at their iTunes summary for that episode. And if it doesn't entice me, I'm not going to listen or watch it, depending on if it's a video show. Mostly listen. I'm not going to listen to it. Or if it does entice me, I will go ahead and listen to it, or at least gives me a blueprint of where I'm going to go. At work, there's a lot of presentations that are given, and I always like the presentations, just me personally, it's how I work, that have some sort of overview at the start, and they say, okay, we're going to discuss XYZ ABC. I go, okay. And then when they get done discussing X or Y, then they show that again and say, okay, we're going to move on to the next one. So that's kind of overdoing it for a lot of people, but at least you show that mapping at the beginning of the presentation. That's just how I roll. I also like page numbers on my presentation. I like to know how many pages I'm actually seeing because I want to know how much time is left in this presentation. I'm a busy guy. I like to actually cut things short or stay on time if need be. And if it's a 30 slide presentation that's supposed to be given in an hour and we get to the half hour mark and we're only on slide 5, I say, okay, we need to speed this up. And that generally helps keep everything on time. And if we get to the last 10 minutes, we're still on slide 7 and there are 23 other slides left, I go, okay, you have 10 minutes to wrap this up. And if we get to 2 minutes left and we're still on slide 12, or we haven't jumped forward to the conclusion slide, I'll go and say, okay, you have 60 seconds. Tell me why I care here, or whatever. So with podcasts, it's kind of the same thing. I want to give a map, get a mapping of what it is. And this is my textual way to do it. So I like giving that to other people as well. And then this is a clean podcast. So click clean. Do your podcasts have to be clean? No. But if they are not clean, there is a list of 18 countries which Apple Podcasts will not distribute your podcast to via agreements with those countries for them to operate then. Do I think that is other apps that are available in their country? Could they get the podcast through there? Probably. But since Apple Podcasts is somewhere between 60 and 70% of all consumption, I don't know what it's going to be in specific countries, but that gives me reason to pause and say, maybe having my podcast available in Uzbekistan or India or Egypt is probably a good thing. So let's go ahead and make that. Now, the iTunes author. This is something that you cannot spam. Just like the iTunes title, you don't want to be spamming that too much, at least. The author tag is incredibly looked at for spamming. So just put literally whoever is hosting or producing the show. You might be able to throw a network or a company name in there. But in this case, the 3 hosts for this show were myself, Stargate Pioneer, Haley Malley, and Michelle Ely. Lauren, our other co-host for the show, was not there that week, so I don't put her in. Now, could I? Probably, since she has production credit for the show. I would give all my co-hosts production credits for the show. But I am just trying to limit that to who's actively contributing to that specific episode. So if you say like Stargate Pioneer of GonnaGeek.com, also, he helps you with your podcast to start it and to make it better. And Haley is a phenomenal trebuchet designer, creator, and operator. And Michelle is just awesome at everything. If you put that in there, you're going to get flagged and your episode and possibly your show is going to get booted out. So keep the iTunes author down to only the people that are actively contributing to the episode. Like I said, you could throw a producer in there, somebody that maybe your virtual assistant that's editing the show. You could throw a network name, but if you get too fancy beyond that, you might get booted off of Apple. This video is being made in November of 2018, and Apple is booting people out of Apple Podcasts they call it author tag spamming. So don't do that. All right. Now I could save as draft or publish, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back up to media just to show you. Oh, this file name is already in use by another show. Please rename the file before attempting to upload. All right. let's go ahead and do that. Matter of fact, let's copy the file. It's great that they're saying you've already done this. Okay, so we'll copy. Let's try copy. So let's add the copy. I wanted to show you it had completed, but it didn't. All right, artwork. You can go ahead, if you have episode-specific artwork, you can throw it in here. Now, the widescreen image is kind of a 16:9 configuration, and a thumbnail is your average, 1600 by 1600 sort of square thumbnail. So you can load these in. I don't with Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. I just market it as Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. no matter what. So probably not the best thing. Some people that do TV shows will take a screen capture of the specific show that they're showing, and that will become the artwork. Some people throw different text over it, maybe the same background, but different text. And it helps with SEO, I'm sure. But with Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., I am a little bit less worried about that. Then you go over to social. And you can have like Facebook and stuff in there. I don't have Facebook, so I don't have the connection for Facebook. I used to, but I don't anymore. So what I do is in that same document that I showed you before, I create, before I get to this publishing, I create a tweet. And I go ahead and remember I had to actually get rid of that space. So with tweets, I like throwing hashtags in there. I like throwing all the @ accounts that are relevant. And unfortunately, not all the production people have Twitter accounts, or at least Twitter accounts that are public. So people like Dario here do not get a mention. And I used to do hashtags with their names, but I came down to, I don't think they are really searching for their name in a hashtag. So I'm not going to go ahead and hashtag it, but I will put their name in from now on. So for those of you that have been watching my tweets on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while, or Starling Tribune, you can see how that works. All right, so I go ahead and do that. And then I sometimes go over to scheduling. And if you don't do any advanced scheduling, you can just publish. But if you want to have the entire episode released tomorrow, you can set a new release date. And I'm going to go ahead and choose tomorrow. And I'm going to say 10 a.m. Just change that to 10 a.m. Now everything will go out at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And that was by clicking set new release date. Now, if you want the episode to expire, like I don't want it to avail, say you're announcing an event and you have the event and you just don't want the announcement out after the event is done. So you can select an expiration date. Say this is the weekend coming up, and say I'm going to just one more fixes game day that they're having in Terre Haute. And I want to announce that to everybody that wants to see me with just one more fix at Terre Haute. And I know it's Saturday the 17th, or maybe it's Sunday the 18th. It's one of those two. Anyway, I will select Sunday the 18th, and I will go 10 p.m. I'm not going to be with them anymore, so I want it to expire, and that won't be available anymore. But I'm going to select that to never expire. And then there's media file availability. I never screw around with that. Now, I will go to advanced here, and I want to show you this for a lot of reasons. Say you're still working on your episode and you just don't want an unfinished version actually published. I will tell you that Google Play Music actually sucks your episode up and you will never be able to change it. It's not entirely true, but it's more difficult to change it. So I don't want to publish it to Google Play Music. And let's see what else. I don't know if Spotify does it or not. So I don't want it to publish to Twitter because I want to make sure that my final edited version, like I'm going to do another edit, and my final edited version will go ahead and be later. So I want the announcement for that to go out when my final edited version goes out. And I'm trying to remember if anybody else sucks up the episode. In my Amazon Alexa, it's probably one. And let's just say Spotify is. So I want to take those out. And then when I do upload the actual edited file again, I will click on all those and boom, there you go. But for purposes of this, say I'm releasing late at night, and I know nobody's going to be on Twitter when I release it. I'm going to set a new release date, and I'm going to set that for tomorrow at 10 a.m. So the episode is out, but this tweet will go out tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I believe the Facebook integration is kind of the same way. So you might want to look into that as well. Look into the key times that people are going to be available, checking, and that you can publish to. This is only good once, and after you've published it once, it will never publish that episode to the social media platform again. And in this case, it's just an announcement in the same way with Facebook. All right. So you have it scheduled, and I don't do anything with this advanced tag. Nope. If somebody would explain to me when this is possible to be used, then I would go ahead and do it. And it might be on a Libsyn tutorial. Again, check those out. Crystal does an amazing job. But that is it. I've uploaded my media. Upload successful this time. Close that message. I have put in all the details that I need to here. Oh, by the way, if you are doing a season, you might want to put that in there. But I don't like the way that displays. For most hobby podcasts that are done weekly, then I don't think seasons are necessary. But if you maybe have a storytelling podcast or a audio drama, that might be interesting. If you are throwing a trailer out, meaning a promotion out for your podcast, an Apple podcast, that is now called a trailer. So go ahead and do that. And if you want it to be a bonus episode, not included in your regular feed, go ahead and do it. But most of the time, you're going to be publishing a normal episode. And the artwork, I've not changed it, but you can. Social, that's your tweet or your Facebook post. Scheduling, if you need to schedule at a different time. And then boom, I'm not going to click this right now because I've already published the episode, and I have done this before where I've published episodes and people are like, hey, you published it to the wrong feed, or thanks, but these automatic downloads nowadays to both desktop podcast players and smartphones and mobile devices and stuff like that. So I try not to do that. So at the very least, I can save it as a draft. I'm not going to do that either. But those are how you would do it. And if you do go off into the future, you can, and you click save as draft, or, well, let's just click save as draft for this for right now. So I'm going to go over to content, and I'm going to go into previously published. I'm going to go into drafts. And this is interesting. I did not know that was in draft mode. I might have an episode that I need to publish. Okay, so, and then I can just remove that as well. There's no reason to have this here, so I'm going to remove it. And that's how it goes. So if you have any questions, please let me know. You can go ahead and catch me on Twitter at Stargate Pioneer. You can catch me on my email, stargatepioneer@gunnageek.com, or comment down below in the YouTube comments down below. See, nobody has commented on Twitch right now. So there you go. That is how you publish an episode to Libsyn, or how I do it. And it's very easy, and you do not mess with show settings. So if you're somebody like the questioner that had asked me, how do you publish to Libsyn? And I've been told not to mess around with the show settings, you don't have to worry about that. So I'll catch you guys later. I'll be back with my edit for Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode number 261. At the end of the last episode, I said I was going to go ahead and look for the post-credit stuff before I did another video. That was all true. I've done the post-credit stuff from the beginning, the pre-recording stuff, and I will be getting into the rest of it as I go now. So I have to get going, have a couple things to do before the Starling Tribune recording later on tonight. I hope you found this useful, and we'll catch you later.